major third. That's a major second, long press release. Gives us a minor second. That's a perfect fourth on short press and release, a long press and release. Gives us a tritone. Hi, this is Andre. A long press is a type of functionality that sends different commands from a switch or button depending on how long it's held down for. This is a pretty common concept in modern electronics, and if you're watching this, there's a very high likelihood that you've used this functionality on at least one device. What's not so commonly used is a long press release, which is the point when you release a switch after a long press. That might sound like very esoteric behavior, but as I've experimented with it, I found a long press release opens up a ton of possibilities for getting maximum mileage out of a physical switch. So a lot of what we're going to examine in this video focuses on sending different commands from a switch based not just on when it's pressed, but when it's released. We're using the Morningstar MC8 to send these different presses and releases, and in this video the MC8 is used to control the Empress Zoia. We haven't looked at the Zoia for a while, but we've done many videos on it in the past. The stock looper module in the Zoia is pretty modest compared to many loopers, but it does contain a few features that have really captured my imagination. One is that you can melodically play the pitch of the loop with MIDI note info, which lets you access different kinds of Vari-Speed and Repitching. If you're not sure about the difference between Vari-Speed and Repitching, please stay tuned because we look at both of them here. Another unusual option that the Zoia looper module offers is changing the start and end point of the loop to get what we've referred to in past episodes as loop windowing. This video is the first time we've looked at using a foot controller with the Zoia, and it gives us some new possibilities, including assigning different musical intervals to different switches and switch releases. The Morningstar also accepts external expression pedals, which can be assigned to various types of MIDI messages, and in this video we'll look at doing loop windowing strictly by foot, moving the start and end points of the loop around with a pair of expression pedals. The Zoia patch used in this video is a custom one I put together, and there's a link to download it for free from patch storage in the description below. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. So if you're using the regular Zoia interface with the looper module, this button has three functions. When you press it a first time, it starts recording, press it a second time, you go into overdub, press it a third time, you're in play. And from that point on, it toggles between overdub and play. If you want to erase the loop, there's a separate button that does a reset like that. So I have all of those buttons configured here on switch A. If I do a long press of switch A, that puts us into reset. And if I do short presses, that gives us record, overdub, and then play. Forward and reverse. Oh, okay, sometimes that happens. Sometimes it will go quiet, as it just did. Usually it doesn't, as you can hear. And I found in a few cases, usually when doing speed changes or length, there are a few cases where the Zoia tends to stop and think for a second. Like I say, they're few and far between. When that does happen, I find that hitting restart will get the sound restarted. You can overdub while you're in reverse, which is not always something to take for granted. Come out of overdub, restart will retrigger from the beginning of the loop. Start, stop, pretty much like it says on the tin. If you use the start, stop button, then when the loop comes back in, it's not going to retrigger from the beginning. It's going to be playing from wherever it happened to leave off. So if we do that, if we go back and forth between start and stop, you can hear that when the loop comes back in, we're not re-engaging it with it at the same spot. So if you like that, you can just toggle between start and stop. If you want it to retrigger from the beginning, restart has it. On the top switches, I have quarter speed, half speed, 2x speed, and 4x speed. I stole that directly from the Hologram Microcosm's phrase looper. So a short press will change the speed. That's quarter speed, 4x speed, 2 times speed, half speed. And you can also overdub while the speed is changed. Now, you may notice there's no regular speed button, and that's because each of these top switches has a long press release command embedded that will put it back to regular speed. So long press release means that you do a long press. Right now we're in half speed. Now nothing's going to happen yet, but as soon as I release the switch, we're back to regular speed. So the idea is, if I want to switch to any of these different speeds, immediately clicking the switch will do that. And then if I want to go back to regular speed, a long press puts us back there. Speaking of long press releases, the start-stop button has another hidden feature, which is long press puts you into the second page, and this has repitching or Vari-Speed musical intervals. So we're going to go back to the first page, and in the second page, it's switch H that changes pages. On this particular page, it's switch D. So we're going to restart the loop. Long press of start-stop switches pages. Now on this page we have different musical intervals programmed. So the root is regular speed. That's a second. Major third. Perfect fourth. Perfect fifth. Major sixth. Major seventh. And the root, an octave above the original pitch. That's the original loop length. If you do a long press and release of this, you get an octave down. Now, you may have noticed that all of these intervals are major intervals, except for the fourth and fifth, which are perfect. What I have set up on this page is that if you do a long press release on any of these switches, you will get the minor or altered equivalent of that interval. So, right now we're going between the root and the third. In this case, it's a major third, because I'm doing a quick press and release. If I do a long press and release, now you can hear the pitches drop down half a step. That's a short press, so that's a major third. Long press gives us a minor third. So if I want to go right from the root to a minor third, I do have to hold it down for a little bit of time. Major third. That's a major second. Long press release gives us a minor second. That's a perfect fourth on short press and release. A long press and release gives us a tritone. Short press on switch E is the fifth, and for this one, because the fifth is a pretty useful interval, long press and release gives you a fifth but an octave down. Short press and release gives you a fifth in the regular octave. F is a major sixth on a short press and release. Long press and release is a minor sixth. Short press and release for G is the major seventh. Long press and release gives you a minor seventh. So if you want to go straight up the major scale, you can just do short presses and releases. If I wanted to access some minor intervals, if I want to go up the minor scale, then the third, sixth, and seventh have to be changed. So there's our root, second, now I have to wait a little bit. There's our minor third, fourth is the same, fifth is the same, long press release, Now that's a minor sixth. That's a minor seventh. And that's the octave. So the biggest disadvantage to having intervals assigned to a long press release is that you can't go to them immediately. So if I want to just go root, second, third in the major scale, it's totally fine. Second and third are major. If I want to do a minor second, I have to hold it for a second. No pun intended. Same thing with the third. If you just tap them quickly, those are the major intervals. That's a tritone, perfect fourth, octave, major sixth. Let's do a minor seventh, and octave. Now we've been doing Vari-Speed, which means that the pitch changes the length of the loop. So basically, as the pitch increases, things get faster. As the pitch decreases, things get slower. What I'm going to do now is turn off Vari-Speed. And turn on the repitching modules. So this is a mute or engage for the dry signal. This is one of the repitching modules. That's another repitching module. And there's a bit of a bug here where that one doesn't come through until you tweak the pan a little bit. There we go. So now we're doing repitching. You're not going to hear a huge difference because we're at the original length of the loop, but now if we start changing to different intervals, the pitch changes but the length stays the same. Ooh, I like that. And let's go back to the first page and check out some of the more extreme jumps. So that's 4 octaves down, but ostensibly the length of the loop is the same. That's 4 octaves up, but same length. So we've turned off the repitching modules. We have reset the loop. We're going to record something new from scratch. Oh, there's a click. Redo it. There we go. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does. I'm going for something a little more free time. All right, close Overdub. Now, on the Zoia display right now, it's showing us the start point of the loop. And the nectar pedal is assigned to the start point. So with toe forward, it's the regular start point. It's the same start point as where you started recording. As we move the heel down, the start point starts moving. So we're basically shortening the loop length by taking the start point and moving it further into the length of the loop. If you think of this line on the Zoia display as the entire loop, then as we go from left to right, we're going from the original start point to the end of the loop. Now we're at the very end of the loop, so we have a super short loop because the start point is right next to the end point. As we start moving the start point back to the left, in other words, back towards the actual original loop start point, the length starts increasing. And now we're back at the beginning. So you can scroll through slowly, you can also jump around. And so forth. All right, we've changed the Zoia display, so now it's showing us the loop length, and this pedal is assigned to control the loop length. So, like moving the start point, this is changing the length of the loop. The difference here is that instead of taking the start point and moving it later, we're taking the end point of the loop and moving it sooner. So again, if you think about that horizontal line as representing the entire length of the loop, the moving icon represents the end point of the loop. And as we move closer to the start point, the loop gets shorter and shorter. And here again, now we have the end point right next to the start point, so we're getting another granular loop. And once again, you can jump around. Now let's do this. Let's keep a short loop length, and we're going to window through. I'm going to change the display so that now we're seeing the start point. And now we're moving the start point, but the length of the loop is going to stay the same because we've used the length parameter to basically shorten the loop length to a much smaller slice of the original length. So as we move the start point around, you can hear that the length of the loop, or the window as you can call it, stays the same. And you could get a really short loop length and window around that way. So this is with the length parameter basically as low as I can get it. And then if we increase the length parameter a tiny bit, now we're windowing through with a much smaller window size. Let's do some Vari-Speed. And with a shorter loop length like this, you can really hear the length of the loop change as you change speed with Vari-Speed. If we go to the second page with the musical intervals, then you'll hear as we gradually ascend, it gets a little faster with each new interval. And then if we turn Vari-Speed off, turn the dry signal off and turn the repitching modules back on, now you'll hear that the length of the loop stays the same. Let's expand the length of the loop a little bit. That's shortening it. I like the sound, but let's expand it. Ooh, I like that. Let's hear it at regular speed. Regular pitch, I should say, because we're not changing the speed. We're just changing the pitch because we're repitching. And let's do minor descending. Melodic minor for all you theory geeks out there. Yeah, sure, let's do the tritone. And the perfect fourth. Minor third. Let's go Phrygian and do a minor second. And the root is the regular pitch. Now you can overdub even while the start point and the length have been changed. So let's do a little bit of that. We're going back to the first page. We're turning overdub on, and I have no idea what's going to happen, but let's find out. And you'll notice that the overdub is constrained to whatever the current loop length is. Where are you, harmonics? There you are. Cool. Reverse. Let's go to half speed. Let's overdub some more. And there, because we're repitching, when I play a new overdub, it comes back at the same speed, but now it's an octave lower. If we go to double speed, now anything I overdub will be an octave higher. Four times speed. And quarter speed. I love quarter speed. And then if we start increasing the loop length again, you can hear all that stuff we just overdubbed is only in that spot where the loop length had been windowed down to. So now if we listen to the whole thing, and let's go back to regular pitch and speed. Yeah, there's that short little burst there. That was the spot that we had been overdubbing on when we windowed down. And let's go to a totally different part of the loop. Let's overdub. Actually, let's make it really short. Let's overdub there, just to be ridiculous. There we go. Now we're overdubbing. That's pretty ridiculous. Increase the length. And move the start point around. In fact, let's do it with both feet. This is the whole loop. And now we're moving start point and length at the same time. there's the whole thing. Let's turn off Vari-Speed, or let's turn off the repitching modules, I should say. Turn Vari-Speed back on. And now we're back to Vari-Speed. So now we'll change the speed and the pitch at the same time. Where are you? Restart. That was weird. Oh well. Again, sometimes the Zoia has to take a second to prepare itself for the next change. I know how it feels.